beautiful Saturday, we're still in spring in downtown Oakland at our rec complex. So, my name is Jim Folkerts. I'm the chair of the Sports Association of Oakland. So we're a separate 501c3 that supports youth sports and arts and recreation programs in our wonderful town. But before we get started, I wanted to introduce, to sing our national anthem, Michaela McConnell, first grader at Manitou Elementary School.
Stripes and bright stars fill the payroll us by. All the ramparts we watch were so gently streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the birds were singing through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say is this star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Michaela, thank you so much. That was excellent. Folks, if we could get another round of applause. Until I got involved with these annual induction ceremonies, I didn't realize it's a pretty difficult song to sing, especially early in the morning. So kudos to Michaela for pulling it off in such a fine fashion. Thank you again, honey. Okay, just to start off the program, I'll just talk a little bit about the SAO. So on this very field, right, is where the youth sports kind of began in Oakland back in 1936, where 30 acres were donated to the town. We've existed in various forms throughout the years. Oak Rec Committee. We were actually a predecessor, if you will, to the Oakland Recreation Program. We kind of formally incorporated in 2008 as the Sports Association of Oakland. We're like a registered 501c3. We file tax reforms. We have like paid accountants to do our taxes because we handle quite a bit of funds for all the various groups that we support. And we essentially act as a bank for the nonprofits in town to provide transparency of the handling of funds, make it easier on the volunteers so they can focus on the activities and sports that they're, really want to do for the kids. We kind of take the burden of the logistics of the fundraising and things off their hand. In addition, we've engaged in some various activities throughout the years. We actually ran the carnival one year, which was pretty cool because I got to tell my daughter we saved the carnival because we had to step in and run it, and we raised a significant amount of funds that helped fund the walking path that encircles this very complex. We've done a movie night. We've supported Great Oak Park, the dog park within Great Oak Park, and various travel and sports teams. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Mike. Are you next on the agenda?
Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Jim. The SAO, without the SAO, recreation could not run. So the SAO, all the members of the SAO, we just want to thank you. Jim was understating the importance of the Sports Association of Oakland. Today is a day where there's going to be a lot of memories. There's some sadness, but we're not going to focus on that today. Today is a celebration of life. We know that there's been some tragedy that's happened in Oakland, but today we're just going to celebrate life. This is about the life of the people that have lived and the life of the people that are still living. And we're making it all great for all of us. Now, the first person I want to bring up, well, not bring up, I want to discuss is Karen. I know Karen's being awarded today for Sports Association for her work with the Sports Association. Karen was a former chairman. Karen was a chairman of the Sports Association about 10 years ago when all this town could talk about was recreation. And she stood fast, she stood hard. As my fellow Commissioner Dan Legato and I always talk about people throwing Molotov cocktails from the bleachers but won't get in the field. I mean, Karen stayed on the field and she stood there strong, and she helped us run the carnival. Now, nowadays, it's not really throwing Molotov cocktails from the bleachers onto the field. They do it from behind the computer. But you always stood so strong, and you really were a big part of us getting the walking path, and instrumental when we rebuilt the Sports Association of Oakland. We had to rebuild it to what we needed for recreation to run, and we had to do things fundraising offline. So thank you very much for your help with that, Karen. Bill Savage is being awarded today. Unfortunately, Bill is he's going to the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, he could not attend today. But just to say a few things about Bill, my first job as Recreation Commissioner was the Baseball Commission, and at that time we were going through a bit of a change, a transfer over. I kept Bill on because Bill was just a really good, solid person. Bill will tell you where it's at, those who know Bill, and it's good to have people like that around you. He's a longtime coach and a longtime travel baseball coach and a great fundraiser. Dave is going to the Hall of Fame today. Long overdue. Dave, I don't know how many people know Dave or don't know Dave. Dave is the engine to Oakland Recreation. If recreation is a bus or a car, you need that engine to run it, and you usually don't know what's going on in the engine unless there's an issue, and there never really was an issue with Dave. Dave, Dave's the treasurer, Dave's the finance. They've turned the SAO into a 501c3. Dave is, back when we did the Oakland Travel Baseball, Dave was really instrumental in rebuilding the travel baseball program into the modern program it is today. Dave's work behind the scenes is just absolutely invaluable, and I wish we had a bigger award for him. but Dave has just really been huge for us, and a long-time coach too, and really one of my close advisors and close friends. And thank you, Dave. And Jill, thank you for allowing me. Howie Levine is going to the Hall of Fame today. Howie is one of these people that he impacted probably more people's lives than anybody who's here. He coached and was an umpire and referee for almost every child, right, Tricia? Every child who's from 2000 to 2015 or so, he had an impact on everybody's life. He was a great coach. I've heard stories about him being a great coach in softball and in basketball, and really a really important person who, his spirit is still down here. Howie is still an important person, will always be an important person for recreation, and really, thank you, Trish. And a little later, we're going to give an award for Gary Walker. I'm going to save that for later, for my speech on Gary, all right? You okay with that, Danielle? Okay, cool. All right. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Linda Schwiger.
Thank you. This is always a special honor to come here and see so many familiar faces. I haven't been involved in rec since my sons were involved in rec, and now my son's father is out of state. So I don't really get to see them, the people down at the rec field. However, when my sons were playing, they played in all the sports. I have 3 sons. I was running from field to field, baseball field, football field, soccer field. But it was either the Oakland Rec Commission or the Oakland Committee. And there was so much confusion that it's great that it's not the committee anymore. We've gotten rid of the committee. It's SAO, so everybody knows who's who, right? Before I begin, I have to say, Mikhail, I've been talking to her and sitting with her. Incredible, incredible. Her name, we're going to be seeing her in the future. Beautiful, and thank you to her mom for letting her sing. And also, how could I not say anything about former Councilman Bobby Knapp, who's here. He comes to all our special occasions now. It's so good to see you, now that he's a New Yorker. But to the honorees, Bill Savage, Dave Altana, and Howie Levine, it's because of you we have the rec program, the reputation that Oakland has wherever I go, and I say Oakland, and they say, oh my goodness, the Oakland rec program is outstanding. The fields are outstanding. Thank you, and thank you to the wives for allowing them to do this. But I just want to say congratulations. It's an honor, and for all you do. So many people work behind the scenes and never get known, but it's because of you we have what we have, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to kind of add on to what Linda mentioned about the volunteers, I really love doing this every year because, you know, all the people that I've worked with, we've all worked with over the years, it's just a great opportunity to kind of sit back, you know, reflect, kind of understand and acknowledge the contributions, you know, the efforts, the work, the time, the dedication many of us here you know, put forth for the, you know, the betterment of our kids and of our community. I mean, we all take a great amount of pride and, you know, gratitude in living in a town such as Oakland, where volunteerism, it's like automatic. I mean, it's really just, you know, fantastic. And it's a reason many of us, such as myself, continue, even though our kids are long out of the program. So, in that vein, the first person we're going to recognize today is now a former member, much to my sadness, of the SAO. Mike reminded me she was actually the chair before me, so I can't take all the credit for everything that we've done. But she became the vice chair and probably my most trusted advisor in regards to many of the behind-the-scene, you know, issues, things, complications that go on with running an organization such as ours and supporting so many groups. In addition, she created, developed, and administered the fantastically successful Arts and Recreation program, which was a little outside the scope of what we've done, but it really served a portion of our population. It wasn't just athletics, right? These were like arts and sciences programs that were tremendously popular, and, you know, and with the assistance of the Valley Middle School, you know, an after-school program that ran for many years, and Karen had was instrumental in getting that thing going. So, Karen, if you'd be good enough to come up. In recognition of your many years of service and dedication to the SAO, as a charter member, chair and vice chair, and creator of a popular arts and sciences program that served a diverse group of Oakland's youth. Your efforts have broadened the SAO's mission and helped it to become the outstanding program that exists today. So on behalf of the SAO, myself personally, the town of Oakland, everyone here, thank you very much.
I'm not used to speaking in public like these guys, but the SEO classes that I ran were definitely the best thing that the SEO allowed me to do. It touched thousands of kids, kids who necessarily didn't go into athletics, and then they found something in common with the kid that they had an interest in. It was, and I'm hoping somebody else will take over for me to do that. Anyone? And then, finally, the people that I met in this organization are lifetime friends, and I will cherish that.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, so now for our 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. The first up, as Mike mentioned previously, Bill Savage. So Bill, one of the things he's very involved in basketball, travel basketball, rec basketball for like 15 plus years. One of the more behind the scenes things he did was he coordinated umpires and referees. And I did it for one season. So when you think there's a rain out and, oh, rats, we got to come back to the field tomorrow night, they were the biggest headaches for me in trying to get people to cover games, get umpires down to the field, people that were reliable, etc. I mean, it's a key cog. It's like, as Mike mentioned, with the treasurer position, you know, the umpires and referees, the game is not going to happen without them. So Bill was instrumental in, you know, administering that program in a very successful fashion over the years. So I guess on behalf, so since Bill couldn't make it today, I'm going to present the plaque to Mike on Bill's behalf. So anyway, we have a round of applause for Bill Savage. Thank you, Bill. So next up is someone that I've worked with probably after Karen the most in my time as the SAO, and I can't reiterate enough what Mike said about, I often tell our treasurers, we have a new one now, John Amoruso, who replaced Dave, but they're more, and I might not like to admit it, but they're more important than I am, okay, because it's really, they make the things run as far as the monies, the tracking, right, you know, issuing checks, sometimes at, you know, late hours of the night, et cetera, and things like that. And Dave did it for football, I know we did it for blue and gold, you know, as well as the SAO. We support like 15 different groups, and there's activity that goes on year-round. So Dave, and as well as, you know, the treasurer too becomes instrumental in developing the policies that we administer. So Dave, I can't thank you enough. It was a pleasure to work with you, and grateful to have you in our group for so long. So I thank you. Dave also did a lot of coaching as well, as many dads. So Dave, if you'd be good enough to come up.
First, I have to apologize for being wearing shorts. I didn't know this was a formal occasion. So, I think a lot of thanks has to go to Mike Watt and Jim Fogarts and all the past and present members of SAO. I mean, they've really put a lot of time in, thankless hours, and you know, the dog park, the Great Oak Park, is all because of everything they've done. So I really appreciate that. Thank you to all the SAO members. And also, Mike and Jim were the guys who got me into this. I was just a coach, and they're the ones who asked me to help. And you know, they're here before me, they're here after me. So you know, again, thanks to them. It's a real honor to be chosen, considering how many hard-working volunteers have put their time in over the years with all the sports. Through OBTV, SAO, the rec and travel coaching, and the blue and gold, I had the pleasure to meet so many, you know, so many wonderful parents. I never consciously thought I'd get into coaching and volunteering, but when Brady was a kindergartner playing t-ball, they asked for help, and we just, you know, we were anxious to step up, help our kids, and once you got to know their friends, you wanted to help them as well, and it's been great to get to know all my son's friends, both sons' friends, over the years, and to see them grow and become such fine young men as they grow older. The coolest thing is when you know, a kid will come up to you and say, "Hey, Mr. Altana, how are you? You haven't seen them in years, and they still remember you. Hopefully we've had a nice impact on their lives. They certainly impacted our lives." It's great to see them be such fine young men as they're adults. As Mike said, I'm always the background person, as you can tell by my lack of public speaking skills, but I was comfortable in the background. I always wanted to help out. Through this time, I've had to learn so much from so many great coaches coaches and leaders who have taught me a lot of things and helped. Just to name a few, I can't name them all. Tom Cancelosi, Matt Green, Gary Garessi, Bill Savage, and Mike Guadagnino, too. All learned so much from all of them. It's given me a real sense of community by being part of something with all these volunteers. I think of all the groups I've been involved with, we always thought long and hard about how to be fair to the kids, how to have full disclosure, how to let the parents know the money was in the right place, and we spent a lot of hours talking about how to run the right tryouts and things, and really to make it right and fair for everyone. So I think we feel that we did the best we could, and we tried our hardest. I've had so many great memories, by the way. When we did the carnival that one year, that was crazy. My son got to go to the Michigan World Series. Coaches' meetings after games were always fun. One particular memory sticks out when one of my last years coaching rec basketball. There was a kid on the team who was a little shy, not a great basketball player, didn't have all the skills, but he had never scored a basket all year. Toward the end of the season, all the kids got together and they wanted to make sure he scored. Excuse me. So they kept feeding him the ball, and he scored his only basket that year. It was great to see the kids all excited. It was wonderful. So I just got to say thanks to all my friends who are here, and my wife Jill has been wonderful for the whole thing. It's the contribution, the collective group of parents have made Oakland such a great place to raise kids and to have sports in town. So I really thank the rec program for all they've done for me and my kids. So thank you very much.
Our last inductee for 2021 is being inducted posthumously. So, as Mike mentioned, when we determine who we're going to, after we voted on who we're going to induct into the Hall of Fame, I do some background work. And it's very rewarding to just find out and interesting, the impact people have had on the lives of those that they've interacted with through the sports program, right? And as Jackie Robinson said, our lives aren't measured in what we do on earth, it's what we the impression we leave behind and what we've done for others. So with Coach Howie Levine, it was clear to me, I didn't work with him directly myself. I believe, I can remember far back, Madison was on one of my soccer teams in early elementary school, but he was clear he was known and loved by many. Working as a softball, a basketball referee, coaching basketball, his daughters, in basketball and softball. Just, again, as Mike said, one of these people that just affects so many of us and our kids. And as Dave mentioned, you see the kids grow up and become adults. And the fact that we've had an impact on their lives is just incredibly rewarding. So with here, and so in addition, there's always the better half that supports the person getting most of the recognition. Sue Levine, Mothers Club president, fundraiser extraordinaire, I've been understood, is here to accept on behalf of Howie. Oh, Trish, I'm sorry. My apologies. Oops. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So anyway, Trish, if you'd be good enough to come up and accept the plaque on behalf of Howie.
I'd like to thank everyone. This is an honor and privilege, and I have to say, with all the lives that said that were affected, no life was affected more than his. Howie enjoyed it. This is what he lived for. He lived coaching his daughters. He loved teaching the kids, the umpire. Even after the girls were in high school and everything, he would make us get up and go to the basketball games over at Manitou and everything, and we would cheer him on and everything. And he'd ask how he did and everything, and he just enjoyed it from the bottom of his heart. It was a privilege. It was a privilege to be able to watch him so happy. He was so happy, and that's what he did. And with that, I thank you. The Levines, thank you.
Thank you, Trish. All right, at this point, I'm going to turn the program over to Mike for a tribute to Gary Walker.
Thanks again, Jim. And thank you to all the Hall of Fame inductees. Really was an honor. It's an honor to have worked with every one of them. And thank you very much. Just have a little round of applause for all the inductees. If I can ask all the rec commissioners to come on up, please. I know you're around here somewhere. So many of them. I don't know how we get anything done. Okay, and Danielle, you and Demi would like to come up? That's okay. Just Gary Walker, as I'm sure everybody knows, or they don't know, should know, he was a lifetime person of Oakland. Gary was very much Oakland. He really was. Gary grew up on these fields. Gary played on these fields. Gary coached on these fields. Gary helped assist Danielle, who was a past commissioner run the programs on these fields. Gary was fire department assistant chief of company number 2. He was a fire department member for 33 years. He was a Bloomingdale police officer for 20 years. Those who knew Gary will tell you he was very friendly, very affable, but most importantly, he was husband to Danielle and the dad to Demi. And it really is an honor that we're awarding today. They're awarding Gary, and we'd like Commissioner Dan Legato has something for Danielle to please open. Yeah, we're going to name Field 4 from this day forward will be known as Gary L. Walker Field. I said before, there's a Mexican proverb, and it says you die 3 times. The first time when you pass, the second time when you're buried, and the third time is when your name is mentioned for the last time. With Gary's name up here, as well as Howie being on the plaque and everybody else, they will live forever. Gary, 100 years from now, people will come by and they'll say the name Gary Walker. So this is a nice honor we'd like to grant to the Walker family.
Hi. It's been 14 months since Gary passed. It was very sudden and shocking to us. He was young, he was healthy, he had no morbidities, and he was taken from us too soon. But he had an amazing life. He made so many friends through all the different groups he was a part of. The fire department, the police department. He played tennis, he played golf, he played hockey. He was part of the 40 and older baseball league that they played over on the far field. He ran the men's softball league that played on Tuesdays and Thursday nights right here on these fields, 2 and 3. He umpired a couple of my daughter's games. He umpired baseball games. He filled the barricades full of water for the carnival every year. Helped prepare for the fireworks. I believe he even changed some of these light bulbs on these fields. He had a nickname when he played baseball. They called him Lupus from the Bad News Bears. And he had a hunting accident with his dad, and he had some shrapnel left in his foot. And then after that, they called him Leadfoot. So he was quick with the joke. He had a dry sense of humor. And we miss him terribly, and I'm so honored that you chose to remember him. And that when we come down here, we will see his name. And after years pass, I'm sure people won't necessarily know his face or who he was or what he meant to this community. But his name will be there. And I appreciate that. I just wanted to end with, he was a person that brought people together and made amazing things happen and tried to make the best memories he could possibly make for whoever was in our lives at that time, whether it was my daughter's friends or even the community or the football team. When I became cheer commissioner, we were like, how can we step this up and make this more exciting for these kids? Well, we got to get a sound system. We got to get a huge helmet so they can run through it. And we made all that happen, and I couldn't have done it without my husband supporting me. So just try and live life and make amazing things happen like Gary did. And thank you once again from the Walkers.
Before we close out the ceremony, I just wanted to thank the following groups: the Oakland Fire Department for being here, of course, for all the protecting our town and the amazing flag display this morning. Of course, the DPW, again, behind the scenes work that does so much for all of us. Shout out to the Bloomfield PD for coming and supporting the ceremony. The SAO, I want to just thank again all the people besides myself that help out and support the groups and support our mission and what we do with the groups in the town. And then lastly, the Oakland Recreation Commission. I mean, it's just very thankful we have them here doing what they do for our kids in our community. And that's the end of the ceremony. Again, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Enjoy your day and have a lovely weekend.